lot more history than you may realize. So the city of St. Augustine is 455 years old. That means we have 455 years of continuous occupation of the colonists known as the conquistadors, the Spanish. So when Pedro Menendez founded the city, and there's been a lot of research, a lot of in-depth information has been learned through talking to American villages. It was actually a lot more difficult to gather your own resources. Like if you were just sailing along, you went hunting, you don't know what
They
animals
stole
are there.
it.
The senator is over 600 years old. We actually estimate his age to be the oldest tree in the state of Florida. And the way that we estimate his age is based on the circumference of the tree, because he's drinking from the fountain of youth. Yes, that's right, it is real. And it is here in St. Augustine, Florida. His roots go straight into that spring source. And it can luckily, along the branches are the resurrection ferns. Now they're going back into their dormant state. Hasn't rained as hard in the last couple of days. So they'll start to shrivel up and turn brown. Most of them are brown at this point. But usually along the branches, when it has been raining pretty good for a few days, those bright green ferns will be all right. Now, thank you for laughing at that. You just made my day. Now, Ponce de Leon, he actually lands near here. So he is looking for this island called Bimini that's supposed to be full of gold and silver, where he wants to do this job that he has of building the colony. Hello, pretty bird. Do not walk in front of the tree. Roaming peacocks, they are not caged at any time, but they do live here year-round. They are absolutely beautiful birds. These are the males, of course, with their long, beautiful plumage. The female's a little more subtle. You'll find them mostly up in the trees. Actually, there's one on top of the building right there. That's a female peacock. The peahen. Wait a second. I'm one of the wealthiest men in the world. However, the U.S. Justice Department said your business is a monopoly, and we're going to have to split it up. It is not okay. It is not a free market. So they split up the company, and Henry Flagler's looking for a new business. He realizes there's no railroad in Florida that goes all the way through Florida. There's 3 railroads, but they're all separated. He wants to join them up and create the Florida East Coast Railway. Now, to do that, he needs a place to build the headquarters. In St. Augustine, his wife loved, he loved, she passed away, so he decided this is where he would stay. Now, I'm going to show you how he does this, how he changes everything. On your right-hand side, you will notice a jail. This jail is beautiful, and it was inescapable. Every time, I swear. Anyway, it was inescapable, except on work duty. As you can see, they're always trying to escape when they get the moment to. Now, this jail was pretty fast. Pretty much whatever he wants as long as he has the money. Well, this jail is a perfect example. He says, okay, well, if I'm with those things are possible here, folks. So this is what there are bars on the windows. Doesn't even look like a jail. Not really. He actually designed it to look like a... And about 50 years after the bicycle was leaned up against it, it was halfway up the tree and in the middle of the tree. It's pretty fascinating. Must not be a pirate. Come on into the city of St. Augustine. We would love to buy what you are selling. Yeah, he was a pirate where the silver goes. Once he knows where it is and he knows the patterns of the guards, he's 1695. And it's a good thing too, because in 1702 we found ourselves under in St. Augustine. But we're seeing a different type of tourism. We're seeing wealthy tourism, like the richest people in the world. A vacation destination. Oh look, a baby horse. I love your baby horse. It's a dog. I'm so sorry. I got confused. Now, coming up here on the left-hand side, when he builds this church, all the terracotta is hand-poured, hand-carved. Each door weighs about 200 pounds, made of a solid plank of 200-pound solids. The entire church is built with poured concrete construction. It made it into a fortress. I mean, this thing is going nowhere in a hurricane. So it's all one solid piece. He was able to build then a church, donate the land that it would sit on. You see, he was a man of God. He was actually the son of a Presbyterian, had one daughter. So his daughter was everything to him. Now he does remarry, but he's not the biggest fan of his second wife, who tries to kill him a few times. So his daughter is his world. His daughter is everything to him. Now, she's pregnant. She's going to have a grandchild for him, and his family is getting bigger. He is overjoyed and excited. So he's waiting for the letter to go visit his grandchild. But instead of getting good news, he gets the worst news any parent could ever receive. Not only had his grandchild passed away during the birthing process, but his daughter passed away just a few days later on her journey here to St. Augustine to recover. He was devastated by the loss. Said beautiful poured concrete. Gorgeous stained glass windows. Everything about that just weren't happening. So basically, when it rejoined the Union, Florida was looked at as the swamp at the bottom of the United States. There really wasn't much to it, no reason to go there. There wasn't a lot of development. Henry Flagler saw that opportunity, and what he needed to do was make Florida worthwhile. So St. Augustine, he designs one of the most unique, beautiful, and high-tech hotels in the world. And it's here on the right-hand side. To the right-hand side is the Grand Ponce de Leon Hotel. One of the most high-tech advancements of this hotel, it is actually the first hotel on Earth to have electric lights. The entire Florida that powered the electricity in the hotel. So Thomas Edison, actually, that's an Edison power plant. He designs the power plant, designs the electric grid. Not only here, though, several other buildings in St. Augustine as well, including the Alcazar across the street. Now, he's not just here for the technology. Oh, there's a beep. Hold on a second, folks. We might all die. I might need to burn the train down. Okay, we're good. This is the 1880s, so right around 1887, the hotel opened. There's a wasp in the cabin. I'm going to take it very slow and make sure I don't get stung. You might be a little allergic. We're going to let him leave. There you go. Okay, bye, fella. Anyway, we're going to move. See that rounded portion of the building? That rounded portion of the building, that is the dining room. Now, the dining room is also a trendsetter. Setting trends like Tiffany stained glass. You'll find St. Augustine has some of the most numerous Tiffany stained glass windows anywhere, including several other buildings in town. Now, Henry Flagler builds this beautiful hotel. He builds it to be of the utmost standards. In fact, it's just a little aside, one story not many people know about. He actually built a staircase specifically for women. At the time, men had hard-soled shoes. It was easy to walk around on marble floors. Well, women had soft-soled shoes made of leather. It was hard on their feet, especially going up and down marble stairs. Well, he actually built one particular staircase with leather coverings on the stairs, only accessible by women because the men's hard-soled shoes would tear up the leather. So it was a luxury staircase for women to go up and down just that staircase. So pretty fancy, and the place has all kinds of stories like that. I mean, I could barely scratch the surface of that one. Coming up on the right-hand side is another fascinating building. Now, we got rich people coming to town, one of which was a man named Franklin Smith. Here on the right-hand side, his name is Winter Home. This is his private winter home. Now, he was a fan of architecture. He was an amateur architect himself. He had traveled the world and was fascinated by world cultures, architecture, things like that. Knowing that this was a city from Spain, he built a Spanish city. Now, a building from Spain. Now, that's some images of some of the artifacts he's gathered from around the world that they have inside of this beautiful museum, known as the Via Zareta. The Via Zareta, it's something called Moorish Revival-style architecture. One thing to remember about Spain, Spain was not always a Catholic nation. And as we go by the front of it, you'll see the influences of North Africa and the Middle East in Spanish art and architecture. It's a truly unique design. 10 times larger is the one in Spain. You wouldn't even be able to see the top this close to it. It's gorgeous, and it is a truly unique architectural style that reminds us of parts of history of Spain that sometimes cultures of the people that built this city. Now, as we come around the corner here, we're going to see the Alcazar Hotel. Henry Flagler builds the Grand Ponce de Leon. Now, he builds the Ponce de Leon across the street as the most beautiful hotel, but it was boring. I mean, when you go on vacation, you don't want to just look at some lights. You want to do something fun, too. So he built another hotel across the street. The Alcazar, the rooms were cheaper because you weren't getting much sleep inside. They had clubs, casinos, theaters, restaurants, a wedding chapel, actually. This is it here on the left-hand side. They had indoor bowling alley, outdoor tennis courts, and Tarzan shows, and other performances that would happen in the swimming pool. The swimming pool was open to public swimming as well. It is beautiful even to this day. The building, this whole back building was the swimming pool. The rounded portions would have been changing rooms and spas, one on either side, one for men and one for women. Now, you can actually still go in that swimming pool. When it was turned into the Leitner Museum, Otto Leitner decided to keep it as part of his collection. Otto Leitner added to the Leitner Museum quite a collection. What was Otto wanted? It is St. Augustine's oldest congregation. Now, this is really interesting. Why does it get that designation as the oldest congregation, not the oldest church? Factory district, the fishing district, the industrial district. To your left-hand side is a factory. It is still a factory today, but it is not the same factory it was in the 1800s. In the 1800s, this was an ice factory. They actually made large blocks of ice for your icebox. Of course, you didn't have to have it over refrigeration. This was the headquarters for the Florida East Coast Railway. In fact, all of these buildings on this entire corner were part of the headquarters for the Florida East Coast Railway. You have like ticketing offices and warehouse. You've got the machinery that makes Hershey Kisses. He comes down here to St. Augustine to open his very own ice cream store. Yeah, I missed the mark on that one a little bit. Realized everybody has an ice cream store in Florida and he has to do something unique. So he starts dipping the ice cream cones in melted chocolate. People start buying more cones than they do ice cream. And he realizes very quickly, wait a second, I should probably open up a chocolate factory. He does just that, automates chocolate, and the rest is history. Freedom. Religious freedom. Remember, this was a religiously segregated place, but now it's back in time to the colonial period, and we have the governor's house. This is the main center of town from the 1660s onward. Prior to that, this was the north end of town. The south end of town has the oldest buildings. That's where I'm going to take you next. But this building, I do want to point out to you, the governor's house, because it's a free museum. And like I said, it was cool. That was the first Catholic church. It burned down during the Sir Francis Drake raid. The second museum, they will actually show you how advanced Spanish medicine was. Now remember I told you Spain had a lot of cultural influence from North Africa? One of the things that they got was a medical technique. A medical technique we still use to this day. A medical technique that made their survival rate outweigh any other European nation. You know what that medical technique was? Washing your hands before surgery. Yeah, I know, shocking, right? Well, the English thought the more blood on your hands, the more surgeries you did, you must be a better surgeon. They wouldn't wash to make sure that they were seen as better surgeons. The Spanish washed their hands and instruments, and people survived at a 70 to 80% rate versus 20 to 30% in England. Remember I told you I'd show you where the old jail was? That's it. Yeah, when I said the middle of town, I literally meant the middle of town. This is the older jail, built in about 1720. This is what Henry Flagler would have seen when he wanted to move the jail outside of town. When I said middle of town, I meant it. I'm going to show you. This is a more modern material, though. Stucco or cement. Actually, they were using for a while. I'm going to show you in just a second why we don't use that anymore. Illness that may come in right now. But if you look at this, this is what I mean. This is for the shells. More shallow areas. And actually, originally, the whole bayfront would have been covered in oyster beds. Now, oysters, easy to harvest. But in order to process them into a material to make roads with, you got to do two more steps. You got to crush them up, and you got to wash them. Well, St. Augustine, they weren't crushing it up. The stink got so bad that it would waft over the whole city as the oysters rotted in the road. Eventually, after a couple of weeks, we gave in, and covered over the shells with dirt and made sure to never speak of Shell Road again. Well, Henry Flagler comes to town, and he's like, why haven't you paved the roads? I'm like, yeah, we're not talking about that. We're not telling you about Shell Road. He's like, we'll pave the roads. And he's like, we were like, no, absolutely not. He's like, oh my gosh, I'll pay for it. And they wouldn't use that as much anymore. This is a plaster-coated coquina building. Now, there have always been buildings here since about the 1650s. But this is the first building fully reconstructed and reoccupied after the Battle of 1702. The Battle of 1702, of course, saw destruction of most of the city's buildings, including some of the coquina, but for the most part the coquina stood. The roof, the doors, all of that would have fallen off. The interior would have been burnt, but the coquina was still there. It was easy to restore. Now, a little bit of inlet during World War II, and the secondary inlet, the natural inlet, filled in during Hurricane Dora. When we built the inlet to the north during World War II, Milano Beach, the way that the currents work, it actually takes sand from Milano and deposits. The bridge of Line's pretty fascinating, opened for the very first time in Knight Davis Shores is on the other side of the bridge. It's actually a man-made extension of Anastasia Island. During the late lions. Now, if you look to your right-hand side, you'll see at the base of the bridge two marble lions. Those marble lions are named Faithful and Firm. They are based on Medici lions, and they are made of Carrara marble. They were donated to the city at the completion of the bridge by Dr. Andrew Adams. Now, the Castillo de San Marcos. This is the oldest masonry structure in North America. This is one of the most important buildings in our town. Without this building, we would not exist. The Battle of 1702 is proof of that. We had just completed this building in 1695. It taken us 23 years to build. Construction started in 1672, shortly after the Cyril raid of 1668. So the fort's done. 1702, the full English Navy in North America attacks the city of St. Augustine, trying to capture Florida. We were the capital. This is where they were under attack. Now, the inlet is all the way down by the lighthouse. You can see how far away the lighthouse is. So we see them coming long before they could fire upon the fort. We evacuate the city. Everybody's hiding in the Castillo de San Marcos. And two things about the design of the Castillo make it survive. Number one, the shape. Number two, what it's made of. You can actually see some of the plants around the building. First of all, the shape of it. You're firing at the Castile. That soft coquina stone. All that would happen is the cannonball would get stuck in the wall about the depth of the cannonball, not safely inside of the fort. We just got reinforcements from Cuba, and we were easily able to rebuild the city of StAugustine. That's the first and most major attack on the city. After that, sand castle for over 300 years. I mean, hear me out. Castillo de San Marcos means Castle of St. Mark. It's made of coquina, which is what? Sand and clamshells.
They's killing all the Indians. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right.
I'm bleaching the top, so I'm mindful.
Okay.